Well, I want to talk a little bit about Trump taxes. I know the major media is trying to make this an issue about his tax return, but Trump pays loads of taxes, whether he paid zero taxes to the IRS in this year or not. And also, there's a caveat: if you don't pay any taxes to the IRS in a particular year, um, well, there's reasons for that. I'll get into that. But, let me just tell you that this guy pays loads of taxes, and anybody that's in business knows it. That's the fact. I mean, this major media spiel about him not releasing his tax returns because they're going to tear him up. And it's none of their business because um, there's no wrongdoing that was done. It was, even if there was, I mean, it hasn't been accused of it. Okay. Um, he pays a lot of taxes. Okay, first off, income taxes on his wealth is one area. Now, he has to pay real estate taxes on the building, of course. And even though these aren't taxes per se, there's city water and sewer. He has to compliance with OSHA, the fire department, OSHA is safety, and a lot of different other things that, you know, are paid to the city. And as fees. Maybe they're not directly taxes, but there's permitting for building permits every time construction goes on. Now, as far as all the employees that work in this building, whether they're maintenance employees that are full time or whether they're meet and greet or whatever type of nature of people that he has working for him, they're directly employed for him. He's got to pay, the employer's side of the Social Security and Medicare, the 6.2% and 1.54%, plus the state unemployment tax, plus the federal unemployment tax. He has to hire people in the personnel department to manage, the W-9s, I-9s. Well, that's not just, the W-9s and the I-9s for the personnel. He has to screen people. In other words, he has to hire people to manage just the personnel. I mean, all this, and then he has to pay taxes on the salaries of all these people, and he has to pay accountants. And that was my function, not working for him, but I didn't mind doing it so much for accounting for construction because I always felt like something was going on. I just don't like accounting. I like when something's being built. That's just the way I think. Um, would I want to be back in accounting again? I'm partly in it now, but I don't really want to be in it. Period. I just think it's BS. But let me just tell you what I know. Even now, as far as other types of issues he has to pay. Now, let me just state, why he would not say have income in a certain year. When you're building these places, what you have is a revolving construction line. It's from a bank, and there's a plan, and there's always like, what are you going to sell at the end? How much revenue do you expect to get out of the project? How much is it going to cost you in direct construction, indirect construction, permitting fees, engineering? How much do you have to pay to the city? Sometimes you got to pay them extra money. Sometimes there's a lot of extra impact fees. Maybe you got to expand the roadways, the sewer system. And yeah, maybe those aren't really taxes per se, but every time you do something construction, it involves more than the actual construction itself. In other words, you have to put in infrastructure like roadways, ramp and rampways coming off the highways, more utilities, more sewage systems every time you put a large building in an area. And a lot of times they start raising the real estate taxes on you too when you're doing this. Um, it's like maybe those aren't taxes directly, but they are fees that are involved in anything this guy does. Now, when you're also have the construction line going, and like say it's a revolver. Now it doesn't matter if it's a building or whatever. Maybe you're doing land improvement on a golf course. You're putting in these ponds or retention ponds and these sand traps and bringing in these palm trees or something and building walkways and in an irrigation system. Whatever the hell it is. You have usually okay. There's always interest on a construction line loan, but what they do is they normally have an interest reserve set aside, which is part of the total aggregate loan. So say the loan is I don't know, $300 million and $50 million is for interest reserve. Maybe that's too high for it. Well, that's probably about right. 50 million is for interest reserve. So the construction revolver is $250 million max, and maybe there's a limit on how much can be out at one time, maybe 150,000, 150 million, and you have to start paying it down. But you can draw as much as 250 million, and you can also draw, and the interest is automatically paid for out of the interest reserve account on the loan. Well, that interest, even though you're not outlaying cash during that time, say you paid, you had 50 million, and say you paid $2 million of interest in a given year, but it was like paid for by being added to the loan. That's typically how they do it, because you're in a cash crunch. You get all your money at the end with these construction projects, pretty much most of the money at the end. It's like you got to have something complete to sell to somebody or make use of by somebody, to be released or rented or whatever, made use of, before you start realizing any kind of revenue stream. So what happens is, you had $2 million of interest expense that was basically, you didn't pay by like taking cash out of the bank, but it was paid for by adding it to the loan. That's what the interest reserve is on a loan. But that's a bona fide interest expense on your tax return. Even though you might have received cash in other ways, it's still a bona fide interest expense because it happened in the period when the bank took the money. Say they took the money in 2015 or whatever it was. Even though it was added to the loan on the interest reserve line and on the interest reserve on the construction line, it's still, it's an interest expense. Now the other thing is, when you're capitalizing a lot of these assets, like you're paying out, maybe you capitalize these assets and you bought these assets with money from the banks, right? Loans from the banks. Now there's a depreciable life on the assets. Now, even though the assets are paid for by the loan and everything's, all the money went out to the vendors and the contractors and whatever that, did this, pond retention thing for the golf course, or whatever. I'm not familiar with what they do with golf courses, but, they built this with some type of an agreement, some kind of 1099 contract with, a contractor to build, say, this portion of the golf course, and somebody was a specialist in making this, I don't know, pond. Maybe there was another one that was subcontracted out to do the fountain. Now, sometimes there's bigger pieces that are done when you're dealing with large projects, and then they subcontract it out to other people and they manage it. It's like different layers of management. But my point is that when you're doing this, and there's a capitalization done on the asset in the beginning, and it's paid for by the loan off the bank, right? You still have a depreciation of that asset that is a bona fide depreciation expense for, the next period that it's in use. And that's a deduction. It's not like the system's screwed up. It all comes out the same in a wash. I mean, it's not just how it's done. It's actually very fair the way it's done. What I don't really like about the system is the Medicare, the Social Security, even like the graduated income tax. There probably should be a national sales tax, and the hell with all the other bullshit, to tell you the truth. I mean, it just complicates the laws. Now, with Hillary Clinton, she just takes a fee. So she talks to somebody in Wall Street, makes a speech like there's about as much effort as I'm putting into this video, okay? Which, I mean, I understand what goes on in construction accounting, and I worked on projects that were actually over $1 billion, actually $1.5 billion outside of Disney. Not worked on them. I was providing the controller's services for them. That's no bullshit. I got letters of reference saying that. Now, that sounds like an exaggeration because I talk plain working class and I cuss. Well, that's just a New Jersey, New York style because that's where I'm from, okay? That's really what it is. But let me just tell you that when Hillary Clinton, I don't know exactly what she did, when she got a $200,000 speaking fee from, say, Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan or something. I assume, she didn't deposit that personally in her account. In other words, that would be stupid because then you got to recognize the whole thing as income. I'm sure that went into the Clinton Foundation, which is just a scam, man. I mean, I don't know how this lady gets away with it. How come you all can't have foundations? I always say this. How come, this would kill the IRS. Everybody get a Bible and everybody become a 501c. And, play religious stuff left and right, That would be the end of the freaking tax code. Because, I don't, she's bad news. I also think Harold Camping, the guy that predicted the end of the world, that had $74 million, now, peanuts compared to her. I think he was a scam artist, too. But, he was a 501c religious guy. Now, they're all are. I mean, you're saying Trump is? What do these people do? I don't even care if it's just her. But, even these religious people that get out there, yeah, I got the power of Jesus in me, and I'm scared of you. I'm like, what are you doing for anybody? Almost as bad as her, in a lot of ways. So I'm not like really super conservative or liberal either way. But what she did with that money, more than likely, almost guarantee you, because I can't tell you, like, I saw it deposited, and I know this for absolute fact, but more than likely she deposited in, she got a speaking fee, she put it in the Clinton Foundation. And then she draws money out as an officer of the foundation, like Chelsea does, Bill does, and, it's sort of like being a pastor on super duper steroids. You got that pastor salary, except you're like, I don't know what. She's a global government religious type. She's pushing the religion of global government. That's what she's pushing. She's an idiot though. I can't believe this. You know what the problem is? I mean, I can see right through her in 2 seconds flat. I can see through all the Bill Clinton's crap in 2 seconds flat. It's like I've known about them way before 1992. Okay, I mean, I'm kind of surprised Trump didn't pull the rug out from underneath him a long time ago because he had the power to do so. I mean, I don't. That's one reason I'm a little suspicious of him sometimes, but I mean, definitely ain't voting for this lady. But she's got the biggest tax scam going with this freaking Clinton Foundation, man. It's like, it's like, I don't even like the people that are playing religion in 501c and charity, and they're playing that game, but these people are doing it like times, a million, Like whatever Harold Camping did with his $74 million, it's nothing compared to what the hell's going in the Clinton Foundation, which is probably in the billions. I don't know what the hell she. It's funny though. She's still wrinkly and old, and she's still a bitch. I mean, it didn't change nothing. So, I mean, really, what the hell? You got all that money. That's what's kind of funny about having a lot of money, and that's one reason I got away from doing a lot of that stuff because I realized I wouldn't have learned a lot of stuff I learned over the last several years. I thought I knew a lot about health back when I was in accounting and I was working out all the time. I thought I knew a lot about health. I learned more about health after I got away from the accounting and I started doing more of this YouTube stuff. And, to me, that's worth more than anything because this lady is going to croak and blah, and all the money in the world ain't going to save her because she's surrounded by the BBB, the big bucks BS, I always call them. Me, I can freaking fix her up. But you know what? If I fixed her up, I charge her a lot of money. Because, first off, she needs an attitude adjustment. First off, I don't know what the hell. I don't want to get down that tangent, but she doesn't pay taxes. That Clinton Foundation thing's a big scam. But when you're talking about people that are industry, now this type of stuff, I do know a little bit about. See, I don't know his type of business. I don't know about, the New York. I mean, I was in Hart's Mountain for a while, Hart's Construction. That was a long time ago. And that was even before the computers were doing the accounting, final financials. We had the Wang machine. They call it the Wang, and that was back in the early 80s. That was high-tech stuff back there. With Leonard Stern up there. I was in the main office, man. I was exposed to a lot of stuff way back when. But I'm telling you that, I always respected Leonard Stern. I tell you the truth, him. I always respected him a lot. I know Brother Nathaniel. I should talk about him. That's not that guy. I think I know who he is. I found out from another video. He's not. He's not some Orthodox priest, man. He's always criticizing all these people that are Jewish and stuff. I'm like, get the hell out of here. That's just a side note. But I got to tell you that Trump, he pays a lot of taxes through not just real estate taxes, sales and use tax. It's another one because that's going on all the time in these bars and casinos. Every time he buys, and he has to buy his booze or something, there's a tax on it, even though it's being, you're reselling it to the public. You got to have licenses that you pay for, to operate casinos. You got to have licenses for distilled spirits or whatever to sell alcohol. You got inspections, you got compliances. I mean, those are fees, but they're going to governmental regulatory agencies. And when you're employing these people, you got to, oh man, health insurance. I forgot about that. Obamacare. Oh yeah, you got a health insurance. You got their 401k plans. You got to have people in the company that manage these things, accountants that manage these things, pension plans. You might be employer matching. I don't know what he's got. Maybe he's got that for some people he don't. He's got 1099 people, I'm sure, but then you got to be in compliance with, issuing a 1099. You got to have people to do that. Maybe he farms out a lot of his payroll stuff to, Paychecks or ADP or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he does that. A lot of people are doing that. But still, it's a cost of business. It's like employer matching on Medicare, Medicaid, state unemployment tax, federal unemployment tax, and it's extremely complicated. And you got to watch the people that are managing this stuff, that are actually doing the accounting, because they could be screwing you. You don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm serious, man. You don't know what they're doing. It's tough. That's why I was kind of wondering why he wants to be president. I don't see how the hell he can run his companies and be president at the same time. Unless his sons are going to be doing it. Maybe that's the deal. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to do all this stuff. Because, to me, he's got his plate more than full with just his businesses. But then he's got his two sons. Probably, maybe that's what it is. Trump didn't know his father was running a company or something in New York, and Trump got out of, I don't know what the hell that story, when he got out of Brooklyn or something, I don't know where it was. But yeah, it's like he pays a lot of taxes. And, when, say for instance, you're doing it, you're taking the depreciation, and you're supposed to, because that's the way it's shown on the income statement. Say you got capitalized assets out there that were paid for from the loan on a bank. Well, yeah, they're depreciated, they're being used. Well, you don't like not take that depreciation in a year. It's the way you do it that way. That's the way it's done. And some years he's going to be paying more taxes than other years. But say for instance in this one year he was paying less taxes. Oh, the media is going to go, oh. But even if he paid zero income taxes himself, right? Even if he did that, he was actually, I don't know if he did that or not, but I doubt it. But he was actually paying a lot of taxes on many other different things in many other areas that I just discussed. But on top of that, what happens is later on, you wind up as, the loans are paid off. And, well, the problem is, what happens is a lot of times there's like-kind exchange. I don't know if it works with him, though, with assets, where you might sell an asset and you do a like-kind exchange, and you get another asset that's similar to it, and then there's no taxes on that because you're basically swapping something. I mean, it's all, why would you pay taxes on that if you're going from one building to another? If you're selling the building and you've got to pay taxes on it, you're buying a similar building in a different location. Sometimes they do this like-kind exchange stuff. And it's not like it's a loophole. It's actually the reason those laws were made is because it's fair and square. What I think is really wrong with the tax system is that there's too many rules. It's like nobody knows all of it. Actually, when you're doing taxes, I don't really do taxes, but I know a little bit about it. You use software to do them, and it's not like TurboTax. It's like stuff that's used in the CPA firms, and it's like you got to know what you're doing. but it also alerts you to a lot of different things that are going on. And you know, he's got he's not doing anything wrong in a million. But I can tell you, she is big time. And also, if you're talking about depreciation on assets, I'm going to bring this up at the end. I think Bill Clinton has got another write-off he's missed. I think Hillary Clinton has been fully depreciated as a wife. I mean, she's done, man. How would you like to wake up to that every morning? Anyway, Bill, I think you need to write off your wife, and if she's worth $1 billion, you got a nice write-off over there because maybe you can amortize that over 10 years or something. You know, take yourself $100 million a year, and you know, then legitimately, Bill Clinton could be not paying taxes because the money he invested in his wife is now like, you know, it's a defunct asset. It's been fully depreciated, and he needs to write her off. So anyway, Bill, I'll put a plug in for you. All right, you could buy your own island and put it all the bevy and honeys out there and stuff like that, and put a net around it and have sharks further out so nobody can swim in there and get your bevies and honeys. So I'm on your side a little bit, Bill, even though I think you're a little too socialistic and communistic. But I don't mind you too much, but her I do. So, Bill, that's a little tax advice for you that you can write off Hillary. She is fully depreciated. She's bad debt. She's she's bad debt expense now. That's all that is, and you need to take that deduction, honestly. So anyway, Bill, have a nice day. I don't mind you as much. I mean, I don't like you politically, but as a dude, you're probably all right. So anyway, that's my spiel on the Trump tax issue. I didn't really cover all the bases because I'm really just doing this right off of rote memory real quick, but there's a lot of things that go on. It's not like it's a loophole at all. It's like legitimate. And actually the way they do this like this is because when you're putting out a new project, man, you'd be killed with taxes if, well, you got expenses, but sometimes they're not cash outlays because the bank has covered them through the loans. Like the good example is, the interest expense being paid for by the revolver, the interest reserve revolver on the construction line loan. And the other example is, of course, when you got all these assets and they're capitalized. Yeah, I mean they're capitalized and they're paid for by the loan, but then they're being depreciated, and you have a legitimate depreciation expense. You're allowed to do that. And you got makers, modified accelerated depreciation expense and stuff, and different things like that, different depreciation methods you can use on different assets. It's not like it's a loophole at all, not in a million years. What sucks is that it's so complicated, you got to hire these damn bean counters, and that's what I was one, and to do all this stuff. And I used to only kind of doing it because I liked seeing the project work. I mean, I wanted the project to work. You know what I mean? And I always felt like my adversary was the U.S. government. Private enterprise on one side and a government on the other side, man, they're actually, with all their bullshit taxes and all the regulatory fees and all the crap that people work for the government that you got to comply with, man, they slow down business left and right. Oh, it'd be nice if you could just do a speaking engagement and get $200,000. Now, of course, maybe you could say I got a speaking engagement when I'm doing YouTube videos, but they sure as hell ain't $200,000. You know what I mean? Each that kind of stuff that Hillary does, right? Maybe $2. Anyway, I just want to tell you that, and that's the deal. That's the deal. And I was honestly got to tell you, one guy, if Trump wins the White House, the USA it's so overburdened with so much crap right now. I mean, God, I'm going to feel sorry for the guy. If he's legit all the way, I'm going to feel really sorry for the guy because I don't know how he's going to fix all this shit. It's beyond one person. There's no doubt about it. But he could be a good motivational leader, and probably that's maybe the best thing that could be done is that if you got a leader that, gives a rat's ass and he motivates people, that probably be more conducive to recovery. True, because our economy sucks right now. That would be more conducive to a true economic recovery than anything. So maybe he could be a good motivational figure. Now, if you don't like him, you don't think he's a motivational figure, well, whatever. I mean, he ain't gonna please everybody. That's the way the hell it goes. But I don't see how anybody thinks Hillary Clinton's a motivational figure. I'd take any female over her practically. I mean, even if she's got no political experience, I'd put her in the White House over Hillary because Hillary is just mean. She's mean. She's mean. She's mean. Anyway, I don't know. Over and out. That's all I gotta say. And Hillary needs to join Dykes on Bikes and retire and just go somewhere. Bye.